DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Hall of Fame inductions over the weekend. And as part of that, it's now time to look ahead to 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame eligibility. Which brings up the name Alex Smith. Eligible for Canton in 2026 should he get in. And overwhelmingly, the answer from our listeners is no. Doesn't seem like there's much debate. You love to go the other way. Can you?
Yes, I can.
All right, let's hear the argument.
I think, generally speaking, across sports, in this case, Super Bowl titles, World Series titles, NBA titles, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to Hall of Fame, if you don't have that, that should not be a knock. If you do have that, that's great. But if you don't have that, that should not be held against you, particularly in football, when I believe all sports, beyond the individuals, are a team game in a sense. But certainly football is a massive, if not the best example of a team game. So the fact that Alex Smith or whomever does not have a Super Bowl ring, when it comes to Hall of Fame, I think it's irrelevant. If you want to then have the discussion who are or who is the GOAT, who are the GOATs, if you want to factor that in, fine. No problem there. But the barometer for Hall of Fame, Super Bowl titles should have no bearing. Jim Kelly should not, and obviously Dan Marino's the ultimate example, but Jim Kelly, it should not be held against him whatsoever in Hall of Fame voting.
And I get that argument. And I think Super Bowl appearances count for something. And Jim Kelly getting
winning
4
counts
in a
for
row.
something.
Winning does.
Well, if Jim had 2, so what?
Yeah.
Is Jim Kelly a Hall of Fame quarterback? He didn't miss the field goal.
True, he did not. At your point, it is a team game. You know, you just play every snap as quarterback, and you're still out there for 40, 45% of the game, depending on the game and how much the defense is on the field, and you probably miss most, if not all, of the special teams plays. I don't think starting quarterbacks don't really hold for extra points and field goals anymore. Alex
Smith's career stats are worthy of serious consideration.
Very similar to Jim Kelly in terms of career passing yards and that. Now, Kelly did play in the USFL for a while, so every career has its wrinkles, I suppose.
But that's his choice.
Yep. And it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so.
Actually, if you want to look at Alex Smith's stats and compare them to Steve Young or Kurt Warner, they are right there.
Right, but those guys have MVPs and Super Bowls.
Again, Super Bowls should have zero effect on whether you are Hall of Fame worthy.
But they're a positive if you have them, and they have them, so it's a positive.
But that, for them, great.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be held against Alex Smith for not having a Super Bowl. Kurt Warner stats, Steve Young stats, actually, in passing yards, Alex Smith has more. If that's a big deal to you.
Yeah.
And I would think that is a big deal. In QB rating, now Steve Young, when he played, his QB rating was amazing. 96.8. Kurt Warner, 86.5. Alex Smith, 86.9. Steve Young, if you want to go record, Steve Young won 94 games. Alex Smith won 99.
How about defeats? Go winning percentage instead of total wins.
Alex Smith's career record, I believe, was like 99-67.
Yeah.
I think he had a tie in there.
Yeah.
Steve Young, 94. 49. But I mean, what is that? So if you start the game, if I come in and we're down by 22 points and I score 23, I don't get the win.
And it goes back to your team thing. I mean, Alex went as the number one pick, and they were terrible, and so they were going to have some losses there as they built it. Whereas Steve Young came in, and they were already flying high, and it was just a question of when was the baton going to get passed, and he was going to have double-digit win seasons right out of the gate.
All three completed in the 60s with their percentages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think Alex Smith deserves serious consideration. And he missed 2 full seasons to injury.
Sure.
Not 1, but 2. And obviously the second one received all sorts of attention. And he quarterbacked a Super Bowl team. It's just Harbaugh changed to Kaepernick.
Yeah, I know. Hall of Famers in his area in the stats, mostly guys in his area aren't in.
You mean
the guys,
era?
As far as, throwing for 35,000 yards and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the guys who are in had a bunch of postseason success.
So I don't think that he should be dismissed summarily. Alex Smith? No. I think the voters need to take a hard look at what he accomplished. And then they'll decide. I originally thought, nah, no way. Come on. But then I go and look.
And the numbers started to convince you. You're saying there's a chance.
I think that he deserves that consideration. Yeah.
But getting consideration and getting in.
But I'm not a voter.
Right.
So I can't vote him in. If they vote him in, I don't think, oh my gosh, they're really lowering the bar. And what are we doing here? Come on, man. This isn't the hall of average. This isn't the hall of very good. And we've all heard those words.
Right.
This is the hall of fame. You've got to be great. And then plus to me, I've always looked at the hall of fame. What are we looking at here? How can we make some exceptions for some guys? Like Sandy Koufax doesn't have anywhere near the career levels.
No. But he didn't have the 15-year run, but what he had was 5 or 6 years of total dominance.
Then why don't we have Kurt Schilling in?
Right.
Why do we have standards?
I think
that's some here, there, some over there.
I think of all the pitchers who aren't in, isn't Schilling right at the top of the list of why not that guy?
Why not?
And, for position players, you'd go Dale Murphy, right? But there are these people who are right on the line, and the debate, goes on forever.
And I also don't want to focus exclusively on career numbers.
I get it.
It needs to be a mix. And
I
don't know if there's
Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer?
I'd have to look at the numbers, but I would say no. And then, the longer you stay, like, well, Joe Flacco, man, he's been average for like 10 years now. And who was on that team when Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens?
Right. But he has a Super Bowl and 45,000 yards and counting because, like you said, he's still there. So another 10,000 passing yards over Smith and a Super Bowl. But does Alex not have a Super Bowl, or at least not been to one, because he got a concussion and Kaepernick was hot and they stayed with him because people didn't know how to defend the zone read and just taking off on these 60-yard runs against the Packers because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
he's just running through everybody. And then ultimately they lost the Super Bowl. And, man, Alex probably wouldn't say, maybe he would say it, but it kind of goes against the code to say it, so I don't think he would. But would they have won the Super Bowl if he played?
Oh, hell yeah.
Down there at the end of the game.
I want him to, he doesn't have to say it, but I want him to think it.
Right, exactly. I was wondering if he'd say it. But obviously his fans will
he'll
say
I would have loved to have the opportunity, and then we'll see what happens. But what he's saying is, man, if I could come back.
I would have got us in on fourth down.
And at that point, I had some established credibility in the league. I was a much better quarterback than I was as a youngster, and we had stability in the organization for the first time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, absolutely I could have done that. And I can't
see at that point.
It's nothing you can argue for or against and win.
Right, but if he has the Super Bowl win, and he has the number he has, which are very similar to Jim Kelly, who is in,
then he should be in.
I know.
Because I don't think not having that one game is not to the Hall of Fame.
And
if you want to go greatness among the quarterbacks, who's greater than this guy, blah, 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 that's just a discussion at a table over Sunday dinner, or if you go to the bar, or you're sitting in the stands. Discuss that till you're blue in the face. That's what we do. That's great. But I just don't think not achieving that one thing, because for all of Steve Young's greatness, he only had one. And if he didn't win that game, he's not a Hall of Famer? That doesn't make any sense.
And nonetheless, that's where we are. I mean, there are quarterbacks with lesser stats to him, but then you get into whole different eras deal.
Well, you can't compare that to Bob Greasy, and he's throwing 12 passes.
I was going to say
Ken
Stabler because he's in and he has one Super Bowl, and
Well, that's because you grew up with the Raiders, and
Yeah,
I grew up on the other side of the country with the
I
Dolphins.
saw him play. Right.
Yeah, so,
Greasy has two and a perfect season, so that kind of elevates him.
Right, and he handed it off.
He did.
To Jim Kick,
A
Mercury
lot.
Morris, and Larry Zonka.
A lot. The Super Bowl where he threw 6 passes.
Right. So that you can't. The game obviously has changed, and if Greasy were playing today, he would throw the ball way more because the rules have been adjusted 1,000 times over to make that happen. To the credit of the folks who ran the NFL to do that and make it a more entertaining product, because ultimately that's what it is on Sundays or Thursdays and whenever they play on Mondays. It is an entertainment product, so make it entertaining. Don't make it a joke, but make it entertaining. And the NFL has mastered that as well, or probably better than anybody. It took baseball 1,000 years to make one change.
Pitching clock. Hold on. Designated hitter. Got halfway there. Needed more decades.
Yeah. I mean, finally they got
5 decades later.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it in the National League.
Right. Yeah. And you were having.
Which with Shohei Ohtani is a designated hitter now. Looks like a genius move.
Well, yes. And you were having World Series depending on the park location or team.
What are we doing here?
I know. It seems so stupid.
Quarterbacks who have similar numbers and played in a similar era to Alex Smith, you can call me out if I go back too far. Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Jay Cutler, Jared Goff.
Goff's still playing.
Goff's still playing, yeah. Fitzpatrick, as far as total yards, these are guys all in the 35,000 yard, which is a lot of yards to throw for. You know, put you in the top 50. It doesn't put you in the top 25. Those guys are largely in the 30s.
What?
As far as rank in NFL history.
Top 25?
They're not top 25 in yardage. You have to be top 25, you have to throw for 40,000 yards.
40. Yeah. I would think my instinct says he won't get in.
Right.
And I can live with it either way. I don't think it's a massive injustice.
Yeah, I didn't like the Hall of Average, but the Hall of Very Good, because that's what he was. He was good enough to.
Should we create that?
The Hall of Very Good.
Yeah,
you get a lot of good players.
I mean, if you're 10 years old, I can tell you get in the Hall of Very Good. You take it.
You would take it absolutely. Well, you got to. Yeah, you got to play 10 or 15 years for most of these guys to get in the Hall of Very Good. That's a long NFL career. When you think of all the people who get cut in high school and have no college recruiter ever just look right through them, you're invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hall of Very Good.
And the guys in college who are good college players who can't make the pros.
Well, and particularly if they don't have the measurements. And there's nothing against him. Like, I don't think Devin Dampier is going to make the NFL.
Doesn't matter how good his football.
But he could be just stunning this season, the next 2 years. But at 5'10".
Not happening. It's
5'11".
6'3", they'll look at you all day long.
Yeah.
5'10", they look right by you.
Right. And you can't do anything about that. So, yeah, maybe we should have that one. Like I've always said, we should have done a thing, the worst 60 players in college football. I wanted to do it.
Worst 60.
Who do we have?
Bunch of backup punters and long snappers and defensive backs who
and have the fans vote on it. We'd get way more
participation. Defensive backs who routinely get beat deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Your guy Bill Parcells, and he left the Giants and he came and played for the Chargers, and so I became familiar with the story. Elvis Patterson, do you remember that cornerback?
Huh?
And you know what his Bill Parcells' nickname for him was? And
Toast.
It stuck? Toast.
Yeah.
Because he always got burned.
Yeah.
Right. It's devastating. Just a devastating nickname.
Yeah.
Elvis Patterson is somewhere like, leave me alone, man. I'm 60. I'm retired. Leave me alone.
I think we should have the worst players. Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.